Okay, so get this. We're diving into this story today, and it is wild.
Oh, yeah.
It's about this church in Texas,
Uh,
Gateway Church. You ever heard of it?
I have, yeah.
They're in Southlake, Texas, and we got their internal investigation report. The
Hmm.
whole thing, all 680 gigabytes of it.
Whoa, 680 gigabytes. That's a lot of data.
It is.
Someone was working overtime for
I
sure.
know, yeah, they were definitely burning the midnight oil to put this thing together.
Wow.
Thousands of documents, interviews with over 24 people.
Oh.
They did not mess around. They really left no stone unturned.
Okay, so what's this report all about?
Well, the founder, Robert Morris, is accused of having a relationship with a 12-year-old girl.
Oh, wow.
This was back in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And the report, it uncovers not just potential abuse, but like a massive cover-up. By the church leadership, we're talking systemic failure here.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
No, you don't. So how could something like this go unnoticed for so long, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic example of how power can corrupt an organization, even the ones that start with good intentions.
Absolutely. But before we get into all the details,
Yeah.
let's back up a bit.
Okay.
The story really starts in June of 2024.
Right.
When a woman named Cindy Clemisher, she comes forward, publicly accuses Morris of molestation.
Oh, wow.
She says it happened when she was just a kid.
Yeah.
Well, her parents were close to Morris
Okay.
during his time as a traveling evangelist.
So like a real breach of trust.
Yeah.
And to make things even more complex, Clemisher is now working with an attorney
Uh-huh.
and is seeking financial demands from the church.
Yeah, it's a messy situation for sure.
For sure.
But, you know, the church, they took these accusations seriously.
Yeah.
They brought in an independent law firm, Haynes Boone, to do a thorough investigation.
Good for them.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
So they interviewed over 24 people, right?
You said that? Yeah.
Which is a lot, but 6 people refused to cooperate,
6 people.
including
Robert Morris himself.
Huh.
Oh, wow. So that's a red flag right there.
huge red flag.
If you're innocent, you'd want to clear your name right.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder what they're hiding.
Yeah, and even without their participation, the report still paints a pretty clear picture.
What does it say?
It basically describes this culture where leadership was completely centralized around Morris. It even says people were protecting him at all costs.
That's a direct quote.
Direct quote from the report. So you have this environment
Yeah.
where no one is willing to challenge the leader,
Right.
even when there are serious concerns.
It's like that unquestioning loyalty you see sometimes.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous, especially in a church setting, you know?
Oh, absolutely. There's a real power imbalance there.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder how this could go on for so long
Yeah.
without anyone stepping in. And this isn't just some small church either.
No. I mean, you said it, it's a megachurch.
Right. And get this. The report found that 4 elders,
Okay.
these are high-ranking leaders in the church,
Right.
they were removed from their positions because they knew about the relationship.
Wow.
And they did nothing.
Wow. That's a huge blow to their credibility.
Oh, yeah.
It shows it wasn't just one person's actions, but like a systemic problem.
It really does. It was a failure to protect people.
Right.
So what did the investigators actually find out about the relationship?
Well, one of the first things they did was confirm Clemisher's age
Okay.
at the time of the alleged abuse.
Right.
The report says she was 12,
12 years old.
which contradicts earlier statements from the church
Oh, really?
that tried to question her story,
So they were trying to discredit her.
basically.
That's awful.
And the report also confirms that others knew about the relationship
Yeah.
and did nothing. And while the report concluded there were no other victims
Okay.
besides Clemisher,
Mm.
which is something that people will probably debate.
Yeah.
The fact that multiple people knew and stayed silent is troubling.
It is. It's a culture of fear and complicity. And on top of everything else, the investigation is now a criminal matter.
Really?
Yeah, but the details are still under wraps for now.
So it's getting serious.
Oh, yeah. This
Yeah.
could have huge legal implications, not just for Morris, but for the whole church.
It could.
But let's move on to what happened after the report came out,
Okay.
because things at Gateway have really changed since then.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Things have changed big time.
How so?
Well, Robert Morris resigned,
Yeah.
and his son James, too,
Mm.
and his daughter-in-law Bridget.
Oh, wow.
They were all in leadership positions.
Good. A family affair.
Yeah, pretty much a total of 10 elders stepped down
10. Out of how many?
out of the original 13.
So only 3 are left.
That's right. Pretty much a complete overhaul.
Yeah. That shows you how big this scandal is.
Yeah, it really rocked the church, but is it enough? you know?
That's the question, isn't
Right,
it?
like new leadership is a good first step,
Yeah.
but does it really address the root of the problem?
Right. Like, how do you make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
And it's not just about churches either, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
This is about any organization,
Businesses,
schools,
even government agencies,
anywhere you have power concentrated at the top.
without any checks and balances.
You're just asking for trouble.
So how do you prevent that? How do you create safeguards?
Well, for starters, you need to be transparent
Okay.
about how you handle these kinds of allegations.
Can't just be something hidden in the fine print.
No, it's got to be clear and easy to understand.
A real process for reporting abuse.
Right, one that protects the victim,
Yeah, imagine the pressure Clemisher must have felt.
I know, she was going up against a powerful figure.
Exactly. And it could have had serious consequences for her.
Absolutely. And that's why you need multiple ways to report.
Not just one person you can talk to.
Right. What if that person is too close to the accused?
Or wants to protect the organization's reputation.
That's where independent oversight comes in.
Like what Gateway did with the law firm.
Yeah, smart.
Removed any potential bias.
Make sure the investigation was fair.
But even then, you still have to deal with the power dynamics.
True. That's the big challenge.
The report really highlighted that
How so?
there were basically no checks on Morris's power.
Yeah, that's so common in these situations.
Power gets concentrated.
And it becomes almost impossible to challenge.
So how do you create those checks then?
Well, one way is to decentralize power.
Okay.
Instead of one person making all the
Here's
decisions
what it out.
among multiple people, committees.
More voices at the table.
Exactly. More balanced decision making.
And clear lines of accountability, too.
Absolutely. Everyone needs to know who they report to.
And who to go to if they have a problem.
Exactly. But the biggest thing is the culture.
Okay.
You need a culture where people feel safe speaking up,
Easier said than done, though, right?
especially when people are afraid to challenge authority.
Well, how do you do it?
It starts at the top.
With the leadership.
They have to set the example,
By being ethical
open to feedback.
and committed to a safe environment.
And it can't just be talk.
They have to actually do something.
Right. If someone raises a concern,
Take it seriously.
investigate it thoroughly.
And take action if necessary.
Absolutely. And don't forget training
Training for what?
to help people recognize and report abuse.
Okay.
So they know what to do.
And they feel empowered to come forward.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted approach.
But ultimately, it's about prevention.
And creating a culture where victims feel supported.
A tall order, for
Yeah.
sure, but so important. And you know what's been interesting about this whole thing?
What's that?
The media.
Oh, yeah.
They've been all over this case.
It's a big story.
It is national attention and
So that puts even more pressure on the church.
to be transparent, accountable,
For sure. It's like the media is this watchdog,
keeping an eye on everything.
shining a light on what's going on.
Yeah, forcing them to take action.
Stuff they might have tried to hide otherwise.
Exactly. It's like this external accountability.
Holding these powerful institutions in check,
And that can lead to real change.
not just in this case, but beyond.
You think so?
Absolutely. Think about other victims out there,
Seeing this story in the news,
knowing they're not alone.
that their stories matter,
That's why a free press is so important.
gives a voice to the voiceless, holds those in power accountable.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just exposing wrongdoing.
What do you mean?
It starts a conversation
About these issues, yeah.
about power dynamics.
The systems that enable abuse.
We need to talk about these things.
And that's where the listeners come in.
This isn't just about churches or institutions.
It's about all of us.
It's about our everyday lives.
Whether it's at work,
Or school.
in our communities,
You need to be aware
of these power dynamics.
and ask ourselves some tough questions.
Like what?
Are there ways to report concerns safely?
Are there safeguards against abuse of power?
Do people feel safe speaking up?
Without fear of retaliation?
If the answer is no,
Then we have work to do.
we can't just rely on institutions
We all have to play a part.
in creating a safer world
And if this deep dive has got you thinking,
or brought up any concerns.
reach out to someone you trust.
A friend, family member,
A professional, you're not alone.
there are resources available.
And if you know of any abuse happening,
Don't be silent.
your voice matters.
You could help prevent harm to others.
This Gateway Church story,
It's still unfolding.
we'll keep following it.
But even as this case moves
The
forward
conversation has to continue.
about power, accountability, abuse,
It's an ongoing dialogue
requires our attention.
and a willingness to challenge the status quo. We hope this deep dive has given you something to think about.
Some tools to help you navigate these tough issues.
And maybe even the courage to speak up.
Remember, silence protects abusers
Speaking up, even when it's hard,
is the first step
towards a safer and more just world.
for everyone.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.